would take this time to go and talk about Final Fantasy Type 0 and Final Fantasy 15, demo that came with Final Fantasy Type 0, because I've been getting a lot of questions as to what my thoughts were on each individual title, and I thought, fuck it, I'll do it in video form, because, you know, it's the easiest way to go and convey the message. So, Final Fantasy Type 0, which is a game I'm currently playing through right now, that and Pokemon Y, actually. But I'm playing through Final Fantasy Type 0, and it seems like it's been eons since I've played through an entire Final Fantasy game. I mean, it's been a long-ass time. So, Final Fantasy Type 0, which obviously isn't part of the main core series of Final Fantasy games, one of the little offshoot titles, which I'm fine with because plenty of the little offshoot side story type Final Fantasy games I've enjoyed quite a bit. And they had the luxury of just kind of doing whatever the hell that they wanted with the Final Fantasy branding and the world and the characters and stuff. So I've always thought that was kind of cool. Well, Final Fantasy Type 0 is, you're a part of Class 0. And Class 0 are a bunch of bad motherfuckers, a part of a kingdom, because all the kingdoms are at war right now within the world. So all the kingdoms are at war, and Class 0 is kind of like a secret weapon of sorts, because they have all these powers and abilities and shit that nobody else has. They are legitimately a bunch of bad motherfuckers. You know, they're the Samuel L. Jackson of Pulp Fiction. They're the ones who are like, my wallet's the one that says bad motherfucker on it. And then they say real badass fucking crazy shit out of the Bible while they're holding a gun to your head. But, so you have like, what, 13, 14 different characters within it that you can change between, make your actual main characters and stuff run around as. You can level them up, give them all different abilities, different offensive magics, defensive magics, accessories, weapons, all sorts of random ass shit. You know, you can go around and do tasks for all the different characters in between the missions. And each task will eat up a certain amount of hours, but, you know, this could be going and killing a certain amount of enemies. This could be going to some random city and liberating it. It could be going to this location, getting this character, and doing some shit. There's just a whole bunch of stuff, and I think it's a neat little side quest shit to go and do. You can go and breed chocobos, which that was something I liked from past Final Fantasy games and thought was really fun, but this game, you know, went all out with it, because while you're breeding chocobos, you can go and ride around on them, and they have all these different ones in general. Let's see, the Fleetfoot chocobos, the War chocobos, the regular ones. There's a whole fucking bunch. For some reason, I can't think of them all off the top of my head. But you go and you end up doing that, which I thought, again, was just kind of fun to do. And it was just something extra. You can ride them around on the world map, which I was glad to see a world map come back. That I was just like, oh yeah, that's fucking awesome, world map! And it's neat because they also have like these little RTS little mini missions, which is kind of neat because whenever I was going into the RTS missions, I'm like, okay, well, I heard about these, and you get to try it out, and it's like a real-time strategy game where, you know, camera's way up, and you are your own character, so you're kind of like a little single general running around, and you're liberating random cities, and then turning them into your own, and then you're directing the troops to go to certain areas, helping them in battle, go and fend off enemies and shit. And I thought that was cool that it was just something extra. And, you know, it definitely adds some variety to the typical gameplay of the actual random battles that you go and you get into. And that's something I want to go and talk about, is the battles in Final Fantasy Type 0 are fun. Like, that was one of the things I was happy about, is they're fun. They're traditional random battles and stuff, but when you go into them, you have this entire field that you can go and fuck about on. You know, at certain times, like, the terrain can be different. Like, when you're in forest, there'll be trees everywhere, and you can actually take cover behind the trees and hide behind them from various enemy attacks. But just like you, they can do the same exact thing and avoid your attacks, which I thought was kind of cool that now the terrain actually made a difference in it. Last time I could think about, though, was Final Fantasy Tactics off the top of my head, when the terrain really mattered within the battles. But when you're running around, it's you and two other teammates that you go and pick out. So the three of you go in, and you can switch between them. You can also call in summons, which I thought that was cool as shit. So the three characters go away, your summon comes in, takes the place, and then you start wrecking shit. Right now I have Ifrit, Shiva, and I have one other one I can't remember off the top of my head. But you can go and level them up, give them abilities and shit, so they'll make you think back to like Final Fantasy X, I believe. So you have that, and it's a lot of fun. I do think that it's neat because each character within Class Zero has different styles of gameplay, different abilities and shit, so they control very different from one another, so it can make a lot of difference depending on what kind of situation you're going in, like what kind of mob is this, who do I want to take control as. I prefer variety with all of mine. I always have somebody that can go and spam attacks from a distance. I want one big heavy hitter and then somebody that's good with magic. And I always equip everybody with cure, because holy shit, that is important. Because there's lots of times I forget to cure myself because I'm too busy just beating the living shit out of something. But it's cool. The character I've taken to is Ace. Ace has a deck of cards, which if you saw the unboxing video I did for Type 0, you get some of his little cards that he's running around with, which I thought was cool. But Ace's character that I've used, one of my best friends, Sean, I think he's using 8 as his main character. And it's interesting because it's kind of like a fighting game where you kind of gravitate towards a certain gameplay style, and that's who you're going to want to go and play as. But the only downsides I've really had with the game, the English voice acting is fucking terrible. I mean, really, really bad. And normally I can actually endure a lot of bad voice acting. This I just thought was like, holy fuck, this is terrible as shit. But this is like, you can't take it serious. There's these long dramatic pauses in between some of their wording. They over-exaggerate saying certain things that sound so out of place. It's as if everybody's suffering from some kind of fucking mental disorder. Some of them seem like they're like completely sleep deprived whenever they're talking. They talk like this, and everybody's emotionless. I'm like, why the fuck are you that way? Stop it! It just, that drives me up a fucking wall. So switch to the Japanese audio, which I like the fact that they included that, by the way. I think it's cool anytime that a game that's coming overseas offers dual audio as an option. I just think that's fucking great. So maybe switch over to Japanese. Maybe it doesn't bother you nearly as much, but it's just one of those things. It's kind of laughably bad. It's one of the only things that has actually bothered me about. Well, okay, this, and I felt that at the beginning of the game, especially within the first chapter, they throw an absolute truckload of shit at you. They're like, here's all these characters, here's all this world, here's all this fucking fantasy jargon, here's all this shit. You have to go and absorb all this information. And it's a lot of information all at once, and I just felt that they need to space out all these different cutscenes, the introduction to a lot of these characters, to make them matter, because you're given the entire Class 0 all at once. Here you go. It's like getting every single character within a game all at once, and you're supposed to care. And it's hard to, because you're like, wait, who the fuck is... What? It's kind of crazy. And then all the various characters from every faction within the world that's at war right now, you know, it's just a whole lot, and I felt that they needed to space that out a bit. I'm on Chapter 5. As the chapters progress, it's a little bit easier to absorb this information and to take everything in. So, I can say it does get better as it goes. The story, I actually like the story now that I'm starting to get more up to speed on it, because I've had time to go look into things, read up on shit. You know, and do little side shit in between characters to get to know them and get to know the world. Because I talk to the NPCs within the world and ask them, hey, I'm just going to talk to you, random person who's just standing there for me to talk to with your whopping 2 chains of dialogue and shit. Go and tell me something about the world and characters and stuff. And it's actually, you know, fleshed it out a bit more because of that. So I do like that, and I would suggest doing that. But the game all around is a ton of fun. Like, I'm enjoying the shit out of it. I like the fact that it's New Game Plus, so I'm going to end up going back through it. And it's apparently, to get every single thing done, what I'm hearing is you have to complete the game 3 times. But you'll be so leveled up and shit that it won't be all that difficult to do. And leveling up is fun. I'll be honest. I like leveling up in the game. You know, granted, there's those level 99 monsters that are walking about on the world map. Avoid them. They will fucking wreck you. They'll beat your soul out of your body, Phoenix down, auto-res you like they're fucking Phoenix, just to pummel your ass again until your soul just fucking atomizes into nothingness. Holy shit, man. It can be pretty damn crazy, but I'm enjoying it. I'm liking it a whole bunch, and it makes me happy. Now, for the demo which was going on sale on eBay, people were paying like $30 and $40 fucking dollars for this demo. It's a fucking little piece of paper. I'm like, just buy the game. Buy the game, $60. It's $20 more, and you're getting a good game. Why just the demo? It's fucking nuts. But anyhow, so people were going buying that. I played the demo, did a Let's Play with my two best friends, Jared and Sean, and we didn't get the first half of it upload. We had, like, the middle portion of it before you get, like, Ramu, and you didn't get to see the Behemoth part, which that's intense as shit, by the way. But playing through that, I'm going to talk about both the good and bad of it. I'm actually going to talk about the bad portions of it, because I had talked about a lot of the good bits whenever I had done the Let's Play. But the parts in it that I don't like, I feel that the camera is a problem. Because the camera's focused really close in on the character. And when you're in this big world, I think the camera should be panned out, maybe up a little bit, so you can see everything around you. I don't understand why it needs to be so close in, because then you're constantly sweeping the camera around everywhere. And when you have a mob around you, and you're constantly turning the camera and shit, and say you're on a hillside, and it's the camera will be doing this shit, it's fucking madness. Just pull the camera back, make an option for that. Like, I wouldn't mind if they said, hey, what kind of camera option do you want? Do you want to pull the camera back? Do you want it in close? If they can make that kind of an option, that'd be fantastic. I understand when it's in, like, closed quarters, you know, to focus the camera in more. That makes sense. That's fine. But whenever you're in a big open setting, which guess what? There's going to be lots of those. There's no reason this camera needs to be up my ass. Like, I don't need to feel like I have a doctor fucking doing a checkup on me. So, pull the camera back a little bit. That'd be fantastic. Also, what the fuck is with the lack of lock-on? Since 3D gaming has started, I mean, we've had lock-on because it makes battling enemies that much easier because you need to be able to focus on them. I mean, fuck, past 3D Final Fantasy games have lock-on. Fuck, Type 0 has lock-on. Why the fuck does this lack that? Please tell me that that's something that you plan on adding to it. I don't understand it. I know that they could say, well, due to the fact that we have mobs coming after you, because if you go into the Goblin Cave, for example, like 15, 20 fucking goblins popping up, and that shit's intense. So lock on with something like that might be kind of weird, but who the fuck cares? Like, most of the time, I'm not going to be coming across like 15 enemies at a time, and you could have different types of lock on. You know, you could have smart lock on where it goes and focuses on the biggest threat, so the highest level enemy or the most damaging or whatever it is. You know, you can have something like that, and then switch between using the shoulder buttons or some shit. But give us the fucking option. Like, holy shit, the fact that it doesn't have it, you know, sometimes you're just swinging wildly. And I don't want to have to do that. I want to be able to use some kind of strategy with it. I just find it asinine that one key feature, I mean, if the 3D Legend of Zelda games have taught us anything, it's that lock-on is the most important thing in the whole fucking world. You know, and Square Enix knows this as a company. You still have plenty of time to develop the game, so please add this in. It could make or break a game for a lot of people. You need to add this in. It's fucking stupid not to, frankly. Then, there's the whole entire thing of, okay, we've got these 4 characters. I want to know, and this isn't really so much a complaint, but it's just more of a curiosity, I guess. And it's something that past Final Fantasy demos that I've played didn't really offer this up, so, you know, it's one of those, you're just gonna have to wait and see, I guess. But I want to know more about the characters in the story. This demo didn't really offer me much explanation of why the fuck I'm there, why the characters are there, anything about the characters as individuals. So what the fuck is going on with it? I have absolutely no clue. It's just one of those things that I'm like, dude, I need to know more. But that might be a good thing at the same point, because that shows that there's obviously a lot of interest from me as a player. So, just, I want more, damn it, Square Enix, want more. I love the fucking world, but I want to know more about the characters, because usually the reason that I play Final Fantasy games, the story. The story is my main involvement with the game. So, the frame rate issue was something that had come up a couple of times, and I thought it was kind of inexcusable just given the hardware that we're currently on right now. And the frame rate issues only came up really about 2 different times that I thought it was noticeable and that I thought it was kind of jarring. And that was in the Goblin Cave whenever you had the fucking tons of them go and swarm in. And that made a lot of sense since, again, there was like 15 or 20 of them running around. All these different effects going off, and then you have 4 player characters running around. And also, here, fuck it, that's another great. Why can't I switch between characters? Why? I want to be able to switch between these characters and try them out. Sure, he might be the main character, but in a lot of other Final Fantasies, I get to play as all the different characters. One will, you know, I know Noctis is going to end up being the main character, but I want to try out everybody else who was running around, or give them orders or some shit, because sometimes they're just fucking standing there, just fucking standing there doing dick all. I'm getting my shit beat the fuck in. My skull is becoming a fucking cereal bowl, and this asshole's just standing there. Yeah, look at me. Don't I look fucking cool? Yeah, you look real fucking cool. Help me! Like, dude. But the frame rate issues in the Goblin Cave and with the Behemoth, whenever we were going after that, which didn't get to see footage of that, but it happened, and I just thought it was kind of ridiculous. Granted, it's a demo, so this could be stuff that is going to be ironed out over time, which has been a fact with many other games out there, but it's still something that it's noticeable right now, and this kind of paints a picture for a lot of people, and could be a make or break thing for many players out there. So that's something as a company you need to look at, and you need to know it's an issue, as are all these other things that I'm mentioning right now. As for the plus sides to it, the fact that this is a big open world, it looks amazing. And I'm not talking about just graphically. I mean, just from an artistic standpoint, it looks interesting and neat. It's cool seeing shit up over a horizon, and I can run there. I like that a whole bunch. The fact that 13 took away exploration and made the entire series very linear always irritated me, because I liked running around the Final Fantasy world. I want to go to little towns that weren't necessarily part of the core story. You know, I want to go and traverse into this mountainside over here. I want to go into this cave over here. I want to go into that thing of grass. I want to go and find secrets. I want to go find enemies. I want to go find loot. And this makes me want to explore. This makes me want to go and check things out. It feels like, for one of the first times in a Final Fantasy game, you're in a world. You know, and for some people this is such a step back from what they're used to. But I feel that this could actually be really good if given an actual chance. You know, I like living, breathing worlds where I can see shit running around through night and day. Like, you know, as an entire day cycles within that world, you can see shit change. Looking up at the starry night, for example, while I was in the woods, looked cool as fuck. I wanted to stand there and look at it. I like that they had those little camping scenes, because it made me think back to stuff like Breath of Fire 3. You know, I kind of wish that they took an approach like Breath of Fire 3, where while you're in camp, you can go up to your other characters in the party and talk to them, and then you have that little go-between of dialogue. The Tales series does a good job of that too, where you get to know the characters and get to flesh out their individual personalities a little bit more. That's something, it's a tiny little detail, but it's something that just makes it that much better. You know, the combat, I actually think the combat's fun. A lot of people were saying they found it to be boring. I don't find it to be boring. I really like action RPGs. I prefer turn-based RPGs, and I always will, just because that's what I grew up on. But I think action RPGs are fun. I just like action games, period. You know, I look at something like Devil May Cry, and I always thought, man, if that was a fucking RPG, I'd just lose my shit. But then I'd be like, yeah, well, yeah, it'll be turn-based. So I have my bias. I'm allowed to have my bias, but I thought the game was fun. Just running around with the characters and just beating the shit out of swarms of enemies, seeing them come in, and we're just tag teaming and gangbanging the living shit out of some of these enemies, and they're just like, oh my god, oh, the steel! Bleh. I wish you got to have a little bit more as far as like the skills and abilities are concerned, just to be able to see what the gameplay is going to be like, because we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg, and a lot of people feel that, you know, oh, that's the entire game, this is exactly what's going to be like, you know, that's all that you're getting. But a demo is only going to give you a certain amount. Like I said, I played past Final Fantasy demos, and people gave those shit, saying, oh, turn-based, that's fucking old and boring, who wants to play that? Oh man, all this anime cliche weeaboo bullshit. And now that's actually being said about that, I'm like, why doesn't anybody just give this a chance? Play it for yourself. Judge the game based off of its own merits. And I think that's the best way to go and approach something like that. It doesn't necessarily have to go through the exact past tropes of previous entries within a Final Fantasy series for it to be good, considering that we've had entries like 12, 11, and 14, you know, in the main canon series. And I'm not talking about all the other ones, you know, I'm not talking about Crisis Core and Type 0 and the Crystal Chronicles and all the other games, where they're different in Final Fantasy Tactics. You know, Tactics got a lot of shit for back in the day, but it turned out to be a fantastic game once given a chance. And I think that's what people ought to do with something like this. Is there stuff to be ironed out? Is there certain downsides to the game? There is, most definitely. But at the same point, there's lots of intrigue and interest within a game like this. And considering that I haven't been this involved and interested in a Final Fantasy game in a long time, I don't want this to turn out to be another 13. I don't want to have back-to-back entries within a series go and disappoint me. And, you know, I'm not a really big MMORPG person, so I don't really get into 11 and 14 and stuff. So it's hard for me to relate to those kind of games because I prefer the main games, or even like the offshoot titles. Just, I like story and I like all the other shit. I just want to see more from this, and I can't wait for the game to come out because I want to play through it and find out, is this game really that badass? You know, we've been waiting for years and years, and most people say, this is all we get over the years? It's like, this is not the Final Fantasy they've been working on that entire time. They've began building, tore it down, began building, tore it down, began building again, now this is what we're getting. You know, that's happened with plenty of games. Like, for example, Pokemon, the very first game, took 6 years for them to make. Most people don't fucking know that, but 6 years to go and make that. Resident Evil, plenty of those games were completely scrapped. That's how we got Devil May Cry and Onimusha, for example. Because they kept scrapping the games and turning them into something else. And I feel that's what happened with Final Fantasy 15, is that they scrapped those and turned them into other games. And just utilized the properties and the works from those to be able to make the most of their investment and their time involved with it. So, is it going to be great? Time is going to tell. I'm excited and I'm definitely going to be playing it. That's all I can really say when it comes to that. But I just want to see everybody give it a proper chance based off of what it is instead of judging it for what it's not. You know, just because it's not like something doesn't mean it's bad. And granted, a lot of people are going to have their own individual taste when it comes to something and preferences. You know, I do prefer turn-based RPGs, and I have for a really long time, but once I started playing action-y little RPGs like the Tales games and Star Ocean and stuff, I was having a blast with them and thought they were fucking fun. Granted, this is not exactly like those, but you know what I mean, the point that I'm trying to get across. But either way, that's my feelings on Type 0 and Final Fantasy 15 demo. Just hope that everybody out there has an opinion about it. Either way, play the demo, play Type 0, play it for yourselves, and form your own opinion about it. And I'll go and conclude this, like always, nerds, nerdettes, and gamers, and Final Fantasy fans, game the fuck on!